For information on Dr. Judy Jaye, you can log on to babybrunch.co.za to see her full biography. But she has worked with people, humans, parents, children, babies, around this sensitive topic of bullying. And I am very lucky to have you here today. Thanks for joining us on Baby Brunch.
Yeah.
So I wanna get straight into this.
Go.
Who are the bullies? Who is classified as the bully?
All right. The bully is, let's go firstly, why and who are the bullies? 90% of, I'm looking at bullies at school, because bullying in the workplace is a completely different story.
Right.
Bullying at school. The bully at school always appears to be the hero. But having been a school counsellor and having been a school principal, when you get that bully into your office, that child 90% of the time bursts out crying.
Shame, man.
Because the bully has an extremely low self-image. I know that very often they are presented, or they like to present themselves as the heroes, that nothing can touch them. But that's nonsense. They have an extremely low self-image, 98, if not 100% of the time.
So in that case, who do we feel sorry for? I mean, we've got a child who's suffering at school because they are being bullied. And then on the other side, we've got a child who something has probably happened to, and that is why they are the bully.
Or happening, they themselves could be abused, or having been abused, or being abused at present.
So teach us. I mean, first of all, how do we show empathy? Who do we take care of? I mean, as a mom, your immediate reaction is to get out there and to tell the bully, I am watching you.
And warning you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very difficult question. It's a very, very fine balance. Look, the bully himself or herself has to be punished in a sense that they can't go around hurting other children. Mm-hmm. All right, we're talking, the workplace is a separate issue.
Right.
Let's talk about school. They can't go around hurting other children, be it physical or be it emotional. They cannot go about. So there's got to be a level of punishment. But very, very often, if the schools do not understand that the bully herself or himself comes from an abusive home, that's where your problem lies. You can't just punish the child. Like the victim, the bully needs counselling to help that anger, to help that frustration come out in a normal fashion, not by hurting other children. So the bully needs to be counselled, and one needs to find out what is going on in the life of that bully.
Before we get to why they bully, why the bully would do things, what is considered bullying? Is it what I do verbally when I fight with my sister? Is it physical?
It's both.
Okay.
It can be physical. It can be, obviously, it can be hitting, it can be kicking, it can be catching children behind the tuck shop and smacking them. It can be physical, but it can also be emotional or mental, as they say, where I really put you through such suffering because I mock you, I tease you, I call you names, I pass comments about you. Definitely, especially I'm thinking of a classroom. And of course, one of the worst ways of bullying is to leave a child out. We are all invited to Dorothy's party, but shame. Poor Mary, she never got an invitation. And you know why Mary never got an invitation? Because they don't want Mary at the party. That's equally a sign of bullying as hitting or kicking a child. And the child who is left out of the party or left out of going to a play is as much hurt as the child that's kicked and punched.
You've worked in this field all your life. I mean, it's an honor to have you here. And your husband's downstairs supporting you as well while you are here in studio with us, giving us some reassurance and clarity on this. Why do we bully?
Mainly, to build up our own self-esteem because we feel inadequate. So I am in a classroom. We'll do both scenarios. I'm in a classroom and I've worked very, very hard, and so always outshines, does well. The nerd, as they're called in school. So what do? I get a gang up to follow me, and we'll bully the child. But basically, it's because that child perhaps always does better than me, and I want to do better. We can go into hours and hours of talking about why children are so envious of students who do better. And one of the main reasons, of course, is parental pressure. So if my parents are always putting pressure on me to be top of the class, and so beats me or gets higher marks than me, that's one of the reasons I would start with so-and-so, especially if so-and-so is a little nerd.
So are you telling me bullying comes down to jealousy, envy,
yes,
and parental pressure?
In a school, yes. Very much jealousy and envy. Also, the child could be what children call an irrit. The child irritates those children. The child is bugging those children in some way or another. They will bully the child. But basically, bullying comes out of a low self-esteem and jealousy. Your bully is never somebody with a high self-esteem. Never. If I've got a high self-esteem, why on earth should I sit across the table and envy you? If I believe in myself, there's no reason that I should go around trying to bring you down. Workplace or school. And that is why I have spoken ad nauseum in companies, in schools, about building self-esteem. If you want to prevent your child from being bullied, the most important thing and the responsibility is you as a parent. Build up the self-esteem. I'm not talking about make that child believe that they are the world's best child. I'm not talking about any form of cultivation of conceitedness. I'm talking about self-belief. I'm talking about really and truly being proud of who you are. Working on yourself, yes, Ilana, definitely working on yourself. Not just sitting back and saying, I'm great. Working on yourself, but believing in yourself. If you've got a good self-esteem, the chances of you being bullied, and even if you're bullied once or twice and you don't react, the bully goes away. They will only come back to the child that reacts to the bullying. Same in a workplace. There's no difference.
Do we change our habits, become less of an irrit? Do we say to our kids, this is how we affirm things? I do this thing with my children where in the morning we talk about 5 things that you like about yourself. So it can be your hair, it can be the fact that
Sorry,
you read.
Can I just ask, for the sake of your listeners, how old are your children?
So the one that I do affirmations with, she's 8 years old.
Excellent. So you've started that in grade 1, grade 2. Excellent. Excellent. Carry on. What do you do with that young child?
And by the time she goes to school, hopefully if someone again comments about her hair or the way she looks or whatever, we've affirmed it in the morning that, that it's not like that. And I always tell my children, you can only believe what's true. Like if I see a pool with blue water, the pool is not red.
Okay.
Yeah, no matter what people tell me, because that's the truth. So I always encourage my children to believe what's true. So we have to remind ourselves often, I think, about what is really true and what isn't.
I love that approach. And I'll tell you why I love that approach. Because in school, you're talking about the truth. In school, if a child is bullied, children obviously will put untruths into their minds. Let's take hair. Hair is an excellent example. I was at a particular place the other day. I don't want to mention where and how, but I was at a particular place. And one of the women at that particular place had the most magnificent red hair. I went and I commented on her beauty. She's an adult. And she said, Dr. Judy, you do not know what I went through at school with the teasing about carrot tops and everything. But I believed that one day my hair would be my crowning glory. And that's what I like about what you're saying. From 8 years old, I believe if her parents had put into her mind her hair was beautiful, that she had beautiful hair, or perhaps taken her more to a hairdresser to make it beautiful, it wouldn't have happened. But she grew up with this concept of carrot tops. And only when she became an adult did that happen.
Chatting about bullying, the other day I was on air. I work at Jacaranda FM, and we were talking about a particular actor who went on social media, and she was talking about why people are so nasty to her. She's in her 50s, and she took one picture one morning with her cousin or her niece, and it's a beautiful picture of her relaxing, drinking tea with her niece. She's wearing no makeup, and people started commenting about how terribly she's aging.
Oh, no.
And I went on air and I opened up to my listeners to talk about it. And one lady commented, and Anonymous said the following. She said, "What kind of movement, Ilana, are you starting where you're making people so sensitive?" And I didn't give her the time or space, but in this podcast, I feel like I want to talk about it, because the only movement I'm starting is a movement of kindness. I want our human race to be kind to each other. And the other thing that I want to say is that I learned early on from one of my leadership that if we're in a scenario, my team who's filming here and you, Dr. Judy, and me, if I say something that offends you, that means you're offended, and I need to apologize, because I cannot. I have to put myself in your shoes. If I say something that offends you, it might not offend me, but if it offends you, you're offended. That is how it works.
It could have hit a nerve.
Yeah, exactly.
My nerve, not your nerve.
Not mine.
No, mine.
And having discussed this with some of my girlfriends, we came down to the conclusion, why must building character always be negative? Why must we be in a situation always where we go, oh yeah, let's bullying is okay because it builds character, and therefore we'll be stronger and our kids will grow up and be tough,
Heaven forbid.
Exactly. Why can't they just ride a horse and build character, or sit in difficult conversations that make us uncomfortable like now and speak about things that hurt us and makes us feel good and build character?
And also, another, having now come from education, one of the biggest ways of building character is to give children challenges. Challenges. Academic challenges, physical challenges, go on camp, do this and this and this. In that way, you are right. Why must they be hurt to build character? They don't have to be hurt to build character. You build character through academics, through asking them to take on various challenges, to giving them leadership roles. That's the way you build character.
You've had 4 kids and they're successful, right? 3. I need to
Thank
pick that up.
God.
You've had 3 kids and they're successful.
And grandchildren.
And grandchildren. That means you're very wealthy. When you have grandchildren, you're wealthy. 9 grandchildren. What's the one thing as a mum and as an educator working in this field did you do with your children in order to build character and to help them against being the bully and against bullying?
Always, always, always being aware of self-esteem, self-image. Because if you feel good about yourself, you make the world feel good. Everything that we did, my husband and I, was calculated along building the self-esteems and the self-image of our 3 children. What could they do that would build that self-esteem? Can I go back to my life? I was the most fortunate person, I believe, in my generation. I was an only child of 2 doctors. In those days, women were not doctors. My mother was a Swiss pediatrician, and my father was the only PhD in architecture in the country. So I was brought up with this concept of building the self-esteem. In other words, what is Judy good at? No, she doesn't like tennis. She doesn't like sport. 5 years old, you go to Adele Achber to learn speech and drama. Who's sitting here today with the speech and drama? That's the whole thing. You don't have to bully. You have to look at the strengths and the likes of the child and put them where they should be. Certainly. I mean, I had to do sport at school. I had to do netball at school. I mean, so I had to do it. I mean, I was at primary school and high school. But my parents isolated my strengths. They looked for it, and they put me into speech and drama at 5 years old.
Because that was your strength.
Because that, I mean, a 5-year-old, that was my strength.
You know how we often think, like, if I have to go on a diet, I say, oh, it's so hard because food, when you diet, the food's expensive. Like when we look for things to build our children's character, does it have to be an expensive exercise?
No. Definitely not. I was sent to speech and drama, but my parents also saw that from a very young age, I had leadership qualities. And I enjoyed being a leader. So I had leadership qualities and I enjoyed being a leader. I think I was the grade 1 monitor that cleaned the board. You know, that was where it all started. So they sent me to, well, I'm Jewish. So they sent me to a Jewish movement. And that's where that was developed. So in other words, it didn't cost them anything. They just took me and said, this is it. You're going to this movement. Whatever the leader tells you to do, you will do. And I spent my whole life in that movement. I became a leader myself. And that was it. So in other words, it doesn't have to cost you the earth. What it does demand from you is to be observant and see where those strengths lie. And perhaps one of the most important things that we need to make clear is the strength may not be that of the parent. Now, my husband is an ace tennis player. He was before he had, unfortunately, 2 detached retinas. But none of my children were really ace tennis players.
Right,
Their strengths lay in
elsewhere.
Other places, elsewhere.
Yeah. What are the signs of a child, a learner who's being bullied? I'm thinking of some of us who are working moms, you know. Our children are in school. Some go to aftercare. We see them in the evening around dinner time and bath time. And some of our moms don't have an opportunity to see their kids, you know, depending on what the work setup looks like. Are there signs that one can see this child is being bullied?
I wouldn't call it signs of bullying. I'd call it signs of unhappiness that needs to be investigated.
Well, that's easy to see.
That is where it starts. So, let's take a school-going child. One of the biggest signs is the child who is normally so enthusiastic about going to school and got ready at 7 o'clock. I don't want to go to school. I'm not feeling well. I've got a headache. Number 1. Maybe they stop wanting to work, to doing their homework, from being that conscientious child. I'm tired. I don't want to do my homework. Number 3, very, very, very important. They start to withdraw. They don't want to talk. So you find a difference in the mood of the child. It doesn't want to come home. It's not the bubbly child it used to be. It sits at the table, eats its supper and goes. So it's definitely a lack of interest in school, could even be school refusal, doesn't want to do its homework, doesn't want to talk about school. And then, of course, you get the more serious ones where they don't want to eat, their sleeping gets affected. But the major ones that parents should look for before you get into the non-eating, the sleeping, all of that is he still enthusiastic about school? Is it that he doesn't want to go to school? And he doesn't want to do his work? And once those signs come up, start investigating. Is it the teacher who's bullying him? Is it the students who are bullying him?
Once we've established what the situation is, we know now that at home we can work on self-esteem. We know what to look out for in order to see whether our children are happy or not, in order to see whether the cause might be bullying. How involved should the school get? I mean, one of the questions that we had is, what help can be offered to learners who are being bullied?
Well, having been the guidance counsellor and having been a school principal, a lot can be done by the school. But let's start off with the fact that a lot of students do not want their parents to go and report this. Because there's a feeling of, if you go and tell that Jamie and John are bullying me, the principal will call me in. He'll punish me. He'll punish Jamie.
I'll get into trouble.
And no, with them. They'll wait around the next corner and hit me because they were called in and they were punished. So there's often a reluctance on the side of the child who's being bullied for the parents to go and report it. Now, in a number of cases that I dealt with, the moms would come in and they would want to phone the mom of the bully. So that is another way of dealing with it. So in other words, Jamie's bullying Johnny. Johnny's parents come in and they want the telephone number of Jamie's parents. And that's how they want it to be dealt with between the two parents. Some parents wanted the guidance counsellor and the principal to be involved. So it just depended on what the parents wanted.
I enjoy bringing in the parents in the situation. So I'll tell you in the few cases, I don't know if I'm right, but this is what I have been doing. Last year I made 2 phone calls and this year I made 1.
Go.
And I would speak to the parents saying, as long as the children know, we're talking.
Now, was your child being bullied? Is that why you phoned the parent?
She came home unhappy.
Go on.
And I said, let me call the mother. And each of us stated our conversations and what came home with our children. And I was very calm and I said, you know what? Beautiful that she came to talk to you. Isn't that wonderful that our daughters have got a relationship with their moms? And I said, maybe for now I don't want any steps to be taken. But school-wise, I said, but maybe the children should just know that we're talking.
Excellent. But
we haven't had anything since.
But there's a big but coming. Those 2 children are blessed to have parents like you. And
Doctor, don't make me cry today.
No, it's true.
Oh.
It's quite true. Blessed to have parents who can do that. Not every child has parents like that. That's why sometimes the school has to get involved.
Okay.
Yeah. But that approach is probably the best. Because, and I'll tell you why it is probably the best. Because 90% of the time, if the 2 moms are talking, the mom of the bully can explain to the mom of the child who's being bullied what's going on at home. Very often, very, very often, bullying is a result of abuse at home, unhappiness at home. And if you, Ilana, understand why Mary was bullying your little girl, and Mary's mom understands the hurt that your little one is suffering, it can be resolved. But not every mom would be prepared. Or you're going to get the Ilana phoning Mary's mom and saying, look, bullying my daughter.
Your child.
Yeah. And Mary's mom's going to start shouting at Ilana. Exactly.
Like an episode of...
Don't accuse my little one. Got it.
We don't want that.
No.
We're heading to some of our questions that we got online from you guys. And after this, Doctor, I don't want to say we're going to wrap things up because this is only part one of our bullying, I don't want to call it this, episodes that we're recording for Baby Brunch. I want to call it, what would be a positive word to unbully you, to create some kind of victory?
Well, just to know how, Ilana, when I counsel, I talk about two circles, being in the positive circle and being in the negative circle. And what we want is ourselves to be in the positive circle, to be productive and to be happy. And we want our children to be in the positive circle. And I think this conversation is helping the children who are in the negative circle to remain in the positive circle, to feel good about themselves, to do well at school, and to handle things. So what we are doing is aiming at a school level and obviously in a workplace level to keep people in that positive circle.
Another comment from Anonymous, she says, Ilana, my neighbour's daughter, who's now 12, she was bullied at school, her hair was pulled, she landed on the ground. She's lost interest at school and now wets her bed. The school didn't do much. It says here the mom has now found another school and the child is not entirely comfortable and zones into her own world. What advice can you give the situation? So she's now from the school where she was bullied. They found a school for her and they've placed her in the new school. Mm-hmm. What can the new school do?
Well, most important of all, the new school, I don't know if there's a school counsellor at that new school, but the new school counsellor needs to talk to this child. I mean, you're just talking about, plonking a piece of potato on a plate. Mm-hmm. No. This child has moved because of a reason. And this reason, even if it's addressed by the principal, by the homeschool lady, whatever they call them, or by the school counsellor, needs to be addressed with the child. How are you feeling? Don't forget now, Ilana, there's another dynamic. She's in a completely different environment.
Yeah.
And that needs to be addressed. The problem just won't go away. She's not a piece of potato to be put with steak and vegetables.
So in the new school, they have to facilitate and know the background of the child.
And talk to the child. Has the mother brought the background to the principal or to the counsellor? Has the mother spoken about what the child went through? Or did they just come and say, we're going to buy the uniform now, here we are, bye-bye, darling, enjoy your new skirt. It's not going to work. They need to tell.
What do we do if my child was the bully and we had to move schools and we were expelled? Do you also at the new school tell them that my child was the one that was struggling and that was bullying?
Let's imagine you move, you're bullying at school A. And now school A, the school principal, has asked you to move your child because the child is a bully and is causing tremendous disruption. 90% of the time, school A, so let's imagine that she's going to school B, will phone school B and give school B the background. Especially if a child with a learning disability is coming or a child that's being bullied or a bully. You very often get phoned and told something. Otherwise, it is the duty of the mother and father to go in to the principal's office and explain the situation. Because the bully may need help. The counsellor from the new school may need to call the bully in and say, look, this is a situation we do not want to repeat. We want to welcome you here. We want to make you happy here. We want you to achieve here. Now, please, let's go into what were the reasons, what was the motivation for the bullying.
We have one here that says, should my child take up karate?
Without a doubt. but not to fight against the bullying, but to know any self-defense is excellent. They can take up karate, martial arts, judo, but certainly not to go and fight at school.
At present, Dr. Judy does private counselling on trauma, stress management, personal relationships, and self-management and educational matters, the same ones that she has helped us with today. You're incredible. I wish you were my grandmother and mother and sister because you've really helped us today. Thanks for staying in the positive circle and helping people.
It's wonderful, and I'm always available. It's a pleasure to be with you.